Welcome to the Bold Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm shooting this video Kogari. Yeah, I was from Kisumu for the last few days. I was in Kisumu. That is why I was shooting. Now, and I was following the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment from what the courts are saying. And most importantly is just the latest determination from the three-bench judge, three-bench judge that just gave their verdict on consolidated 6 applications by different petitioners who had gone to court seeking court's intervention so that the process can be of impeachment can be blocked at the Senate. Now, if you've been following Rigathi Gachagua impeachment, there is no denial, and you will actually agree with me that Rigathi's legal team have really been relentless in they've been putting their best foot forward to try to impede this impeachment. And of course, just from the National Assembly, and they've used what happened in the National Assembly to, of course, give it a red card and say that that is a political process that has really violated the rights of the person of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and also the process itself has been a fraud, and they've mentioned clauses on public participation that was also affected. They've also touched on the threshold of the impeachment grounds, and they've also argued on the violation of the political rights and democratic right of expression on the person of the Deputy President. So, ladies and gentlemen, the courts today issued a statement, and I think there is something I want us to look at because the government side, the state, as for the last 2 days, has been pushing a narrative, and there have been many other advisors telling the Deputy President that he needs to resign because the die is cast and his goose is cooked and is going to be impeached by the Senate whatsoever the kind of evidence he might actually induce in the Senate. But the courts have been consistent, and they've really tried to exercise restraint from maybe intervening in this impeachment process. And after Justice Mwita yesterday also issued, it was a high court, one bench judge also declined to issue conservatory orders around it, and they mentioned restraint. And there is something that Chacha Mwita said is that they will still be able to get to justice, still able to go to the court. Now, today, Anthony Murima and the other 2 judges, I think I've forgotten the names, have also issued, and they have stayed the verdict that was issued. They've supported the verdict that was issued by a single bench judge. Remember, the Paul Mwite Council had sought the interpretation of a 3-bench judge if they could, of course, provide an alternative order. They could give conservatory orders. But the 3-bench judge sitting in High Court today has also conformed with what the single bench judge, Justice Mwita, issued yesterday. So, one of the things that I've seen the legal minds asking is, why did Rigathi Gachagua's legal counsel why were they pushing for this? Now, one of the reasons why they were pushing for the impeachment at the Senate to forestall the impeachment at the Senate is because of looking at the conduct of what happened in the National Assembly. But for me, I think they should not. There's a bit of some act of panic on the side of the Deputy President, and of course you understand, looking at the magnitude of this case and the state hand in the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment. As someone who has been in government, I know he really understands that that of course is a concern to him that he has to raise. So one of the things why Paul Mwite led council were pushing for to forestall this process at the Senate is the way the deputy there is at some judicial quarters now, some legal quarters have been arguing that being that the impeachment is a purely political process, that the president is using impeachment to get some political hygiene for himself, the court should restrain themselves from meddling with that process. And probably, I think Paul Mwit and the team were feeling that the courts are not going to listen to them after the Senate. But I liked some two orders that has come from the High Court. The bench is saying that the fact that Senate is rather hearing the case against the deputy president, the public interest is of the Senate to hear, of the Senate proceedings to continue. And probably I really feel that Rigathi Gachagua was also preparing his defense in the Senate, because that will be a game changer. I don't know why that is not something that the DP's council are really considering, or they're giving a lot of attention, but I believe it was twofold. Some people are going on court, some people also preparing for the presentation in the Senate, and the DP has the chance to go and defend himself. Now, you'll understand something, that the court have also said that it's of public interest. The application is premature, and the application is also preemptive or anticipatory, in terms of the DP was already anticipating that the Senate is going to slaughter him. So, and of course, I will agree with looking at how the case has been handled in the past. It is not absurd. It's not something out of the ordinary to think that the Senate are not going to listen. Remember, I'm seeing the UDA analysts that were campaigning for Ruto back in the screens, lecturing the country the way this is a momentous moment, and there is something the country is being told, and I totally don't agree with it. While the impeachment is first of its kind, of the deputy president is a first of its kind, and the country is made to believe that we've started the process of cleaning the system, and I'm just saying no. In fact, some people are now saying that Parliament is now doing the right thing because they've not been doing it. Guys, the truth of the matter here is, whatever is happening in Parliament is a simple misuse or use of majoritarian rule. Now, there was impeachment against the CS, was implicated in some fake fertilizer scandal. That impeachment never saw the light of the day, because the president, because the team, the status team, and the state really meddled and made sure it didn't happen. Now, Parliament cannot impeach any CS. Parliament cannot do something without the blessings of the president. Now, even if you want the country to believe that impeachment of the deputy president is going to set a precedence for such more cases, I think we are overstretching our dreams, because it will not happen. For example, you cannot impeach some of those things. 50% of Rigathi Gachagua claims grounds, while if you turn the mirror on the other side, the president would actually face the same charges. Even the same charge sheet, if you remove the name of the deputy president and put that of William Ruto, they will still be substantiated. You still get sound bites. You still get evidence of corruption attached on the president, William Ruto, in person. Because for the years that he's been public service, he's also not really been so clean, because I've seen files being drawn from the days when he was actually a deputy president. Now, why do you think the courts are really... What is the interpretation of the restraint? Number one, there is something I'm interpreting and I'm seeing. It is good for the courts have really decided to restrain at this level. Remember, there is something that is likely to happen. If the courts, if Gachagua goes to court after this process and finds his prayers, or the courts listen to him and realizes that, okay, his rights were breached and he is reinstated, there will be a backlash. So it is also fine for the courts to give Parliament its debt, its fine print, without alteration. So that, I think, so far you've seen the way the state MPs and the bloggers of the government have been running all manner of narratives in social media, that even the courts have decided. It's good for the government to celebrate. It's good for President Ruto to celebrate that the courts are having restraint. That restraint is important because from the word go, the court is not acting like they're taking side. So when they will look at the final print of Rigathi Gachagua impeachment and probably make contrary opinion to what the public is saying, it is also of public interest that the proceedings continue in the Senate. But if the Senate will do an injustice, that it will also be of public interest for the courts to interpret. The same way even Kenyan public are saying, let Senate finish, then the courts come later. So I think to my end, it is a good way, and we are really seeing the best thing. The three fine reasons why I believe the court are right to restrain from this impeachment, if you ask me. Number one is the profiling of the judicial system. I think they will insulate themselves from profiling. And if MPs will rise and start saying, you know, the courts have reinstated Rigathi, he has gone to court and he has gotten a reprieve from court, the public are going to see that the courts gave Parliament its time. The court gave the other organs their time. And when it is time for the court to give the determination, it would not really be part of it. Number three, I've listened to some conservatory orders that the courts have said there. The courts have and one of the wins from this is, but the fact that they've gone to court. They've also known, Gachagua have also known what the court might look into. You know, even up to this point, the court was called to give a verdict on public participation on some of these things, but the court declined, even if they see there is a problem. What they're saying is there might be a problem in that public participation. There might be a problem in terms of the threshold that has been set. But let's finish, let that political process finish first. So at the end of the day, one thing I have known is it is not about the final verdict. It is about how the process of reaching at a decision. It is not the majoritarian rule in the Senate and the National Assembly. The courts are waiting and they're looking at it and they're saying it is how you've arrived at that decision. And they look at process case by case. They'll be able to interrogate. Now, that is the update from the court. One thing I've seen is the media has been kicked out of the Senate, as the Senate is going to have a closed session to some housekeeping, coming to the rules of engagement. And I don't know, because one thing I don't understand is why that is a secret. I don't know what is the secrecy in it, while everything is going to happen in the floor of house. They should be accountable to the people of Kenya. And I don't know why, I don't know whether that is a standing order or it is one of the constitutional provisions that in this impeachment there will be this and that. Probably it is something of very great interest. I think the lawyers that are saying the impeachment should end at the Senate are a bit skewed in the reasoning and the argument. I'm not one of the lawyers, but I think even the Senate, the governor of even the governor of Meru is also surviving on court order. So while it might not be hygienic for the president to work on court order, but it is also very possible that if that is what the constitution provides and it's something that is allowed, then there should be no exemption. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.